Okay, I'm calling the DPW board. Oh. We're in session at 7:03. Roll call. Rashad here.
Dave present.
Parker here. Okay. First order of business is to reorganize the board after the town election. Congratulations, Dean, for getting reelected. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. You?
Anybody have anything to talk about with the reorganization of the board? You have nothing to say?
Yeah, give me the gavel.
Like this?
Huh. No. What do we do now?
Well, what do we do? Andy, do you have any
I've
thoughts?
been here.
Do you want me to? I can share my thoughts. Share your thoughts, please. Okay. I think we have a situation where one of the members of this table had served 2 years in a row, and which is fine. And it's sort of set a rule that we should set 2 years. So I'm thinking that I should be a chair for another year. If Andy and Dean go along with that, and or if one of them goes along with that, and then we'll just move on for another year with the current organization. I'm also comfortable handing the gavel over to Andy if he wants it. Thoughts?
Blaine, it's all yours. If you want it, you can stay at it. Andy?
I have thoughts. I don't know. What I will say, and I want this on record, I was nothing personal, Blaine, but I was a little reluctant at first when you became chair. And the only reason I was reluctant is because you tend to talk too long. Not a bad thing, but you tend to talk too long. But your thoughts are very good and I like them. So I will, you've done a very good job. I will make a motion to second that you stay chair. Okay, I guess all in favor? I'm still chair. Is that it?
Someone needs to second the motion. Andy made the motion. Someone needs to second.
I guess I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? I guess it's aye. Aye. All right, done.
We do not have minutes tonight. Sorry about that. We've just between billing and some vacations and stuff, we weren't able to get it done, so we'll get them.
Okay. We can go to public session right now, but we have to stop at 7:15.
Yeah,
So,
whatever we're talking about. We'll start
Right.
at 7.
so we're opening for public session. Does anybody, and that includes anybody online, if anybody wants to speak in the public session, now's the time to do it. Jake, do you have anything? Nothing? Okay. Bradley, are you there?
May not have anything to say.
Okay, might not,
Yeah,
okay.
their microphone's on, so.
Yeah, their microphone is on, but, okay, all right. Well, having nothing to let's go on to the trash number. The next one is trash and recycling contract. Let's move on to that.
All right, we'll talk about this until 7:15, if it takes that long. So enclosed is the final agreement, what I think is the final agreement for July 1st, 2025 through 6/30/2028 for the trash recycling contract. This has all the terms that we discussed at the last meeting. It's just now written in contract form. If you remember, at the last meeting, I had some draft contracts and some numbers. Those numbers are what's reflected in here. We just hadn't had the final document at that point. So essentially what we would be looking for is there an authorization from this board for the town administrator to execute. That's the vote we'd be looking for. And I just want to put it out there, not that it has so much to do with this, but I do believe that trash and recycling is going to be a hot topic this year on the finance committee and the select board level in terms of the bylaw that prohibits fees and whatnot. I do believe that there's going to be some push from those folks to change that. And because of how expensive this has gotten, I don't know what it's going to look like. I was only approached and said, this will be a topic going into next year's budget. Much like the school's a topic and all that, this is going to be something they're looking at because it's $750,000.
Do they know what they're looking at?
I don't know, but it's more of if they were to charge people, fees for trash,
What?
like a revolving fund or something like that.
That would be,
Offset the costs.
but that's a change above our,
But it's not
Yeah.
something that has anything to do, we manage this contract.
we just
I'm sure
manage.
we'll have a voice, but like, the contract is what's under our purview, you know what I mean? The physical collection of said recycling. Quite frankly, super early, but like, I want nothing to do with the billing in this office. We have no mechanism for it. If anything ever happened like that, all we do is bill water, but plenty of people that don't have water get trash. So like, I don't think any of that would flow through this office,
Okay.
especially being that it's a general fund deal, not as an enterprise fund or anything like that. But again, we're super early. I just wanted to put it on everyone's radar that this may come up November, December, January.
Somebody mentioned it to me as well. And I just said, well, we'll talk about it when we talk about it,
Yeah.
But, right now it's a bylaw that we pay for. So they have to change that.
Yes.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
Being that you brought it up, what is your concern?
Oh, I don't really have a my concern, I guess, more is like backlash from the people.
You're just throwing it
I'm
out,
just letting you guys know that because.
so you don't
we
have a
managed the-
specific concern,
No,
Okay.
no, but
right?
if anything were to change, that bylaw would have to change.
Right.
And the reason that bylaw is there is to prevent exactly what I'm talking about. So that would have to be a paradigm shift. And when we explain to people why they get trash and whatnot, we always tell them, oh, it's included in your tax bill. It is, I will tell you that I think it's a good system to have a revolving fund or something similar. And in my opinion, it's pretty cheap. Speaking from Holden again, same program, I pay less than $20 a month for the exact same program. It's on my light bill. That's how I pay mine.
Mhm.
If you hire a private hauler in a Rutland or a Princeton or someone who doesn't have townwide trash, you're $80, $90, $100 easy for every other week pickup or something similar. So, the town is looking for ways to offset costs at this point. That's why they just voted on the 2 taxes for the meals tax and the rooms tax and things like that. They're looking for ways to offset costs. This is a huge nugget in the budget. They're looking at this, they're looking at the employee insurance. That was a huge topic. All that changed this year. So like there's those big nuggets they're looking to reduce or offset. So I'm just wanted to throw that out.
Got 3 minutes.
Okay.
I was just asking, only because I got the initial impression you may have had a specific concern.
No, I just think it's gonna involve us, and that's why
Well, obviously.
I'm giving you a heads up.
Yep, no, perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
So I make a motion that we accept this. That what we basically asked the select
Authorize the town administrator to
to
execute.
move to execute
Yeah.
this contract. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Okay. So that's done. And the next,
You got like 3 minutes, Dwayne.
well, we got
FYI.
actually 2 minutes. So,
minute and a half, how's that?
Yeah. so,
Yes.
what would be next?
Move hard.
New hire.
Is the new hire.
I can go real quick through this and we can go back to it if you want or whatnot, but, after some interviews with, some very qualified candidates and a lot of contemplation, I'm pleased to announce we have hired Andrew Wickamarante as our new driver laborer here in Sterling. Andrew lives in Westboro, comes to us from Harvard. He holds a 2A1C, and he takes his Class A road test on Thursday. So, that's after all the schooling's complete at this point. So he takes his road test Thursday. I don't see that as being an issue.
Are we paying for that or is he coming in here?
Nope, coming in with it.
All right.
He doesn't work here yet, so, he, received glowing references from his previous employers. He's described as someone who's very dedicated, does what it takes to get the job done and does it well, so we're really happy about that. And his anticipated start date is Tuesday, May 27th. So we're happy to have Andrew come on board. It's gonna be, Paul and I sat down with him, with Jeff as well. We think he's gonna be a good fit here. Nice kid,
Good morning.
very eager, and we're looking forward to having him on board.
Okay, it's 7:15.
All right, you got my, got the.
I got it. So we open the public hearing for proposed new water rates. Is anyone who would like to discuss the topic of the new water rates? Bradley, your mic is on. You're welcome to speak. So, board members, do you have any questions or comments related to water rates?
This is the water rates that we had discussed at the last meeting. If you remember, we made some minor changes
Yep.
at that meeting. And, what you're voting on here is this piece of paper. From that, this is what will be on the back of the bills and whatnot. And this reflects those changes that you guys have requested.
My question for you, Brian, does this reflect those changes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what this is showing is that, Sterling will be for a typical average quarterly water user of 16,158 gallons per quarter. The Sterling bill would be about $128. Holden's about 130 and change. Lancaster's about 135 and on up.
Yeah, remember, it's not quite apples to apples,
Right.
but it's a comparison. It gives you an idea of, when people say, oh my God, our water's so expensive, you guys can say, well, it really isn't.
Except for Leominster and Boylston, it looks like
Right.
most of the areas as much, if not much more,
Yeah.
with Lunenburg being over $200.
Yeah.
And so is West Boylston and Pack.
So I will say, and just to put things in perspective, both Lunenburg and West Boylston have recently or are working on building treatment facilities. That's where those numbers come from.
Right. So
And that's a big nugget. West Boylston just built the one by the reservoir and Lunenburg's dealing with PFAS. So, just to give you an idea of why they are with that.
Okay, so someone. No other comments? No, all right. So ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Guys, you want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Yeah, can we look this over for a minute?
Sure.
You know, I'll push it right along.
I'm sorry.
We don't hang around here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Huh?
I was.
I needed to catch up on it, that's all. You're kidding. Huh? You're good? Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion that we accept the proposed water rates as presented. Someone needs to second that. So we'll close the public hearing.
Right.
Was there any discussion between us, if you thing, is there any discussion between us about that? And I'm not telling you your job, I'm just reading the thing.
Right. I thought, you guys want to talk about anything, that's fine. I'm not.
We just gotta remember that it's reality.
Yeah,
It's not
people look at
us,
it,
it's not Ryan, it's not anything, it's reality.
Correct.
Okay, it's not. I mean, you all can hate us, but look at the chart. We're doing much better than everybody else.
we're doing a lot of work and we got a lot of work to do. So that's really the reality of it.
That's the reality of it.
And we have some.
We have a lot of work to do
Right.
and we haven't raised continuously
I know.
in so long. And it stings a little and I'm on board with that, but how else do we fund our infrastructure?
Yep.
I think that, as I kind of go through this, I kind of sit back and I read about this stuff all the time, but like the value of being able to walk up to your faucet and turn it on, to me is worth more than, I would pay more than $127 every 3 months for that, and, the amount of work that goes into that is a lot, and, so, I want to keep water rates as low as possible, but the reality is we need to fund the water department, and we need to fund projects to improve our water and keep it within the standards that we are held to, and that's what we're doing.
Again, not to cut you off, I'm just.
No, it's
reading the
fine.
script.
No, I think it's fine. I will remind everyone that we have incurred some debt in the water department so that we can improve our lines and our equipment. And that we will continue to be doing that. And that's part of the reason that we've done this. And as Andy pointed out, we we didn't raise the rates last year.
We didn't last year. 2 years
And
ago.
so we sort of have a informal commitment
Yeah.
from this point on that we will be raising the rates every year. so that it doesn't sting so much. But, replacing water lines, not cheap. We're gonna have to do it. We have to do it.
Yep.
It's the right thing to do, and we have a well-run operation, and we want to keep it that way.
I think we've seen the impact of having those lines, the ones we've done so far.
All right? So I'll make the motion again to accept the proposed water rates as presented.
I second.
All in favor? All right, nobody wants to. I think we have to.
So I'll start, some public education on this. You know, last time we did a nice write-up, for the website that we put out there. I'll do the same thing. We'll update the rates. So the next round of bills will have these rates reflected on them. The ones that go out in July, says for bills dated July 1st, 2020. Which covers the whole fiscal year, which is what we need to fund our budget. So thank you for that. I know it was many meetings, but 3, 4 at this point. So
Yeah,
that's kind of how it goes. And like I said, I will 100% commit to you guys to presenting you with that rate sheet every year based on our budget, based on, you know, and I think you're onto something, and we'll make sure we keep the incremental changes smaller in the future.
Well, thank you. You made that easy.
You want to go back to Andrew?
I
Yeah.
think we should. We
So-
didn't finish it.
We really liked Andrew. We interviewed 2 DPW folks. And you know, both had experienced DPWs, both had all their licenses, both had, and we just thought that Andrew would probably be the best fit for our group. That to me was very important. We have a good group. We have a tight-knit group. We've been together for some time now. It's good to inject some new blood in once in a while. But we want to make sure it's, you know, it's the right fit for us. So
I noticed
that's what
that,
we landed on.
I noticed that he has, he said he's proficient in AutoCAD,
So,
which is, a
Yeah.
nice thing to see.
yep.
Well, that might be very handy for you. It might be quite a benefit. to
And,
you.
and Paul brought this up to me. He's very computer savvy, computer literate, you know, so one of the things we want to try to put that out into the field a little bit more. And, I think he'll be a good candidate for that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
He did spend some time too in the garage, where he was, and, you know, when they were down
I can't
staff. So, I think, you know, he's got that mechanical ability, which we like in all of our employees because we're all running some kind of equipment. You know?
See how he does an Oak Hill first.
So Andy, do you see that he has
Yeah, on one.
welding skills? Probably better than mine.
My,
Okay, so that's all very good news.
Andy, do you have some?
no, I was just gonna say, his resume seems,
And you can get one.
well versed in many things. And I love that.
Okay, number 8, year-to-date budget report.
So these are in your packet. I hadn't emailed them out.
Good deals.
This does not include what you just signed. It does not include that, okay? So I know that we're a little bit back heavy on like some DPW stuff, so like, you know, don't look at this number and be like, oh my God, we're so far under budget. Like we know that, and this happens every year. We dive into snow and ice, that uses a lot of the funds, and then we start transitioning back over. So this is through warrant 22. It's through 81.48% of the year. And obviously we're in good shape DPW wise, but we'll get close to that by the end of of the fiscal. We're usually right in the mid-90s or so. Water, as you guys know, is a different story. And I want to read something to you if I can. So, this warrant 22 is 81.48. As you see here, water is already at 94.8. I just wanted to give you some of the reasons why I had kind of written up for the finance committee. So I just want to read them on record and read them to you folks. The corrosion control updates that we made to get back in compliance with the lead and copper rule cost much more than expected due to challenges with our SCADA system, the computer system that operates the water system, and additional equipment needed outside of our original scope. We had $50,000 in capital for this project. It cost closer to $100,000. With the deadlines that we had this fiscal year with Mass DEP, there was not an option to push this project, so we had to complete it. The exceedance of the PFAS MCL has required us to test much more frequently and send out those mailings. The mailings themselves cost $3,800 to get out to everybody in Sterling, and the testing's $1,200 per month. So that adds up. We needed to unexpectedly rehabilitate 2 of our wells at the Redemption Rock Trail well site. Those cost between $10,000 and $15,000 each, and we typically only rehabilitate 1 per year. So those are just some of the reasons why the budget is over budget. We have the reserve fund. It's here for these kind of instances. I don't like to use it, but if we have to use it, it's here. So, we'll be tapping into that. It's no different than if we went over budget on DPW and we got a free cash transfer from the select board. That's happened before. It happened my first year here. This one is just on the water side. It doesn't take tax, still doesn't take any taxes or anything like that. And we'll get through the rest of the year, and then we'll have a good budget to start the next year. So constantly tweaking these budgets, trying to get them right. It's really hard. DPW has gotten right. This water one is just up every time we think we're good, something else hits us in the face. It's, we gotta kind of dig ourselves out of it.
If you remember, there was a discussion about increasing the size of the reserve fund a little bit, and that's kind of where this is.
Yeah, I think let's see how these rates play out.
Yep.
Where our free cash runs into, how our future years are looking. I know that Holden just created a water sewer stabilization fund, which instead of a reserve, this is a fund that more like a bank account and less like a rolling line item. So the reserve fund, we appropriate 40, we don't use it, it just goes back into free cash, right? The stabilization fund grows, right? It gains interest and it grows every year. And then if we had a big purchase or something, it would offset. So the town has a stabilization fund. They deposit, I think it's 500,000 each year into this stabilization fund. If there's a year where the budget's way over, they can pull a little bit from it. If there's a year the budget's good, they can put more into it. So it's just that. It stabilizes the budget without, so that's something to look at in the future for our water system.
So the way you're explaining it, the stabilization fund is more or less of a simple savings account.
Correct. Yep.
And our 40,000, let's just say, for instance, we put 40,000 in the stabilization fund.
Yep.
At the end of the year, the fiscal year, it doesn't roll over in the town free cash.
Or water free cash. Ours rolls the water free cash. Yeah, we have our own free cash.
Right, so why aren't we doing it?
Because we don't have a fund. It's not set up that way. We would have both. We would have a reserve fund and a stabilization fund. The stabilization fund gets voted on at town meeting to pull out of. The reserve fund, it can get pulled out of for the finance committee. So, and they need to be created through the state. The creation of a stabilization fund has to be approved. So it's something to look into. Let's get ourselves set up budget wise, you know what I mean? Get us back into good financial health and get some reserves built up, and then I think we could definitely start.
Just a question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
You guys have any more questions on the budgets? Nothing? Okay, project update.
All right, I'll spend some time on this. I revamped this whole spreadsheet. There's all sorts of, changes and stuff. Essentially what I did is I went through the new items, you know, from town meeting and, you know, kind of revamp the old ones and whatnot. So we'll start with the DPW facility. So definitely some confusion out there, but I'm hoping to kind of clear it up right now. We were approved for $500,000 at the town meeting on last Monday, for the schematic design and to retain an owner's project manager, which is something that we have to do for a project of this magnitude. It's essentially someone who kind of helps us through the procedures of the construction, oversees the contractor and whatnot. There was a ballot vote last night. So sorry, the town meeting one passed, actually passed by one vote. It was 2/3 majority. It was 233 to 122 or something like that. If it was, yeah, if it was one no to one yes to a no, whatever, it wouldn't pass. So, I took that as a real positive. It's hard to get these things through. Just the fact that it went through, I was really happy with. There was also a ballot question on yesterday's election. That ballot question was purely to answer how the town was gonna take on the debt. And it was never a question as to whether we do the borrowing or not. It was, is the debt going to be what they call excluded? Which means it doesn't count against Prop 2.5 and all that, or is it not? The budget was built so that it would not be excluded, so it wasn't necessary to pass both. I was told the whole time that we didn't need to pass both. We only needed to pass town meeting, unlike some other, you know, typical projects in the past. For this piece, eventually we're gonna need to do both. But for this piece, I was told we don't have to do both. Definitely some confusion out there that, you know, I've gotten some calls today and some other folks have gotten some calls, just trying to kind of clear that up. But as far as we know, we had the $500,000 contingent on the select board borrowing that money, right? So they are the ones who borrow the money for the town. We'll kind of see where that goes, but, we will, you know, the committee meets again next week. We'll be starting like an RFP for the OPM. It's a state statute, owner's project manager needs, any big projects need one of those. And then we'll start really digging down into what we're gonna do, right? Where are we gonna go? How are we gonna handle it? You know, I think really the only thing that we've come up with is renovation really is not in the cards of like this building. For what we think would be best going forward. So other than that, all the cards are still on the table. And yeah, that's kind of where that stands. So guys, the committee you guys picked is fantastic. They've been great to work with. So Blaine, do you have anything else with the committee or?
No, I just wanted to point out that the owner's project manager, the OPM, is required by state law.
Right.
So we have to have one.
Yeah.
It seems like for a project of this size, not the big number, but even the tiniest number, we have to have it. So that part of that $500,000 schematic design budget is going to pay for that owner's project manager. And I'm saying that for everybody.
Well, before you do all of your other signing and this and that, shouldn't you look into what the ballot question was really there for?
What do you mean signing?
Well, they said it, but the townspeople said no. So on a vote, so who's right and who's wrong here?
Well, so the townspeople said yes, and then the townspeople said no. So there was, the town meeting vote was there. I can't understand where the confusion is. That lies in that That all came out of that building. I was under the impression that it was, because they weren't at the time, this is my original impression. At the time they printed the ballots, they didn't know if it was gonna be required to be both or just one. Unfortunately, that was not clear.
The wording was imprecise.
And just the fact that it wasn't necessary, it wasn't clear. I had a lot of people ask me before, and honestly, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it because I've educated myself on levy limits and what all this means
Well,
recently.
Before you drown yourself in
Yeah,
going forward,
yeah,
make sure it's legit.
no, I know,
It is.
I know, trust me.
I mean,
Yeah.
anybody can say it is,
Yeah.
but
It
you
all
do a
gets
lot of work
by bond counsel,
and
yeah,
you turn around and you're gonna get it,
I know,
something's gonna happen.
I know.
So make sure that
It
that
went,
500,000
Yeah.
is legit.
Yeah.
Coming towards that.
it went to our bond counsel today. Bond counsel are the lawyers who deal with the borrowing. So it's already been, it's in their hands, so that, just so you know, we are.
We just wanna
going through
get-
those steps.
Make sure, you know,
100%, 100%.
townspeople ballot didn't pass,
Right.
but town meeting,
Did pass, right.
so the little squiggly line, little dot didn't. So we just make sure that,
I appreciate that.
I mean, if you drown, you're
Okay,
dead into this,
Yep,
so.
yep,
you got it.
yep. No, you're right. That's a good point.
It is a lot of money to
It is, yeah. And
all of
I-
a sudden get shot down
Yep,
somehow or some way.
I know. I know. Let's see, just gotta go into, so these stormwater regs, so we do have finally, a conservation agent, great. I've, talked to him 2 or 3 times, I guess at this point, he just started about a couple weeks ago. I know it's kind of been a lingering thing on this for a long time. We'll get these things pushed through, they just need to get voted on by the Concom. So the bylaw was approved at a couple town meetings ago. We'll get those moved through and I can get this off our list here. 14062 is still humming along, believe it or not. I know it seems like it's not, but we're getting into some underground utility fine tuning. We're gonna be doing some vacuum excavations, some camera work on some of the storm lines, some test pits. A lot of times when you do construction projects, that stuff comes later or under the contract with DOT, they don't because they want to minimize the unknowns. So we're doing all that. We're doing the water main piece that's gonna go right through the middle. We're getting rid of the AC in the project area because that doesn't make any sense to bury that. So we're working on all that stuff at this point. Campground culvert, that is moving along. I talked to the engineer today. They have the plans. We don't think we're gonna have any issues. Again, it's a paperwork exercise that we're moving through. And now that we have the new Concom agent, that should help you. For scheduled road work, help us. For scheduled road work, we have 2 bid packages coming back to us on Thursday. One is for the cold in place recycling on Pratt's, and the other is the regular paving bid, which includes the top on Pratt's and all the other roads that we discussed. So this is coming back to us on Thursday. So we have 1 bid opening at 10 and 1 bid opening at 11. So that's coming up 2 days from now. For the Main Street project, the select board would like to sit down with us on June 4th. Know what your availability is. I figured I'd get it out to you, see what your availability is to discuss how we want to handle the downtown in general. I'm also going to be giving an update to them that night as like DPW operations. I go like once a year and we give them an update on, what our projects are for the summer months and, just different ongoings here at the DPW. But I can give you more info on that as it gets closer, but if you want to throw that in your calendars, June 4th, they would like to have a joint meeting. That's a Wednesday. Probably at 6:30 or 7, somewhere in that range.
So Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, and they usually start at 6:30.
Training night,
You have training? What time?
6:30,
Uh,
7.
Okay. Cemetery wall, so.
Not union, I don't have to go.
Oh, can we just, can we go,
Yeah, whatever.
are we, well, I just want to finalize the meeting. What was that?
JT,
I don't know.
Oh, all right. I'd like to finalize whether we're meeting or not.
Okay,
All right, because I think, can we,
yeah,
I mean, I'll put it in my calendar. I don't know if anybody else can. If you have a meeting, if you can't. But if we want to have a joint meeting,
right,
we won't have another meeting until after then.
correct.
I mean,
Good point.
so,
Sorry,
so we kind of have to make a decision
Yep.
today.
yep.
Well, you don't have to, but I mean,
Andy, you available? Dean, you said you would,
I'll come.
oh, okay.
okay, so just tell them
Fire
that
me.
we can do it. I don't think we need to vote.
No.
Okay,
All right.
sorry.
For the cemetery, sorry, I didn't mean to keep checking here. For the cemetery wall, so we got that funding, that was in the capital. We're gonna move forward with that second piece that was in the capital, that whole proposal for the geotechnical exploration, you know, really getting, instead of having a 30% contingency on a number, we're gonna drill it down, right? And come up with some real options. So we spent a little bit of money the first time just doing that evaluation. This will be drilling it down into how to best handle it. I think this was the absolute right move for a project of this size. Columbarium, no change there. We're planning on pouring the footings for those after Memorial Day. We don't want to mess up the landscaping at this point. Once those are poured, our units are already set aside and they'll get set down on their foundations. And I have, for a future agenda item, you know, it's been on there lingering for a while, but I will focus in the next month on the rules and regs surrounding the columbarium. And my goal is to come with you guys with something, fees or potential fees and some rules and whatnot of how to handle them. It's really not like anything that we have, but we have a bunch of examples from other towns on how they handle their columbariums. So I'll go through that. Good, yeah.
Mr. Mackey. Have you consulted with Ryan about rules, regulations and so forth?
No, happy to do that.
So the reason I say that is this is your brainstorm. And I'm very happy that we have been able to do this. And I would just like to say that maybe
Absolutely.
you would like to consult with Mr. Mackey on that issue.
I love working with Mr. Mackey.
If I can be helpful, I will.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mackey.
Happy to see it. For future cemetery expansion, if you remember, we had some funds in there to do like a layout of what the hill and hillside's gonna look like. The best, you know, both maximize lots and do it the right way, you know. There's gonna be a ton of input from Paul on that piece. So I'm waiting on the proposal from the people I got the quote from, and we'll get that rocking and rolling. Really what it's gonna give us is a nice layout plan of like, here's where the roads are gonna go. Here's the dimensions you should hold when you build these future roads. Because at this point, we've built out everything that makes sense, you know, and we wanna make sure that that other piece makes sense. Obviously, you know, all the trees and drainage and all that stuff was installed, but those trees are big now. There's gonna be some stuff moving around for sure in the future. And we want to make sure we have a plan to go off of that's going to make the most sense. Happy to report that both the ballot and town meeting passed on Sweat Hill. So that's for the big drainage project. So that's going to get going. Talked to the engineer today. We're going to finalize the design, get the plans and specs rolling. I'm hoping to get that thing bid out middle of the summer. And I mean, if all the stars align, we could do it in the fall. If the stars align. If not, then it might need to get pushed. But you know, there's also a lot of off-road work that can get done, not in the winter. You know what I mean? If it's not snowing or whatever, you can dig the ponds and stuff like that. So there's some work that can be done, so we'll kind of play that by ear, but that was
Do we have
encouraging.
a plan for that?
What?
We have
Do we
a
have a
plan,
plan for that?
We do, yeah.
but they have to update that
Yeah,
as part of the
there'll be more
process.
updating, but
Yeah.
I would have presented it to you when, Barbara came, I can.
Right.
That was the initial plan, like 4 or 5 years.
We have a much newer plan than that.
Yeah, we do.
You know, I know.
You guys we put in money last year to advance the plan and get the cost estimate and all
Right.
that, and that's
Is it
kind
in
of,
this office?
Yeah, we did that.
you guys, but it was in the capital plan
Mhm.
for 30 grand.
And,
Picture of the plan?
Oh, is there,
yeah,
yeah, I can try to find one in my office, if not, I'll pull up my computer, or I'll forward it to you. I do most stuff on the computer, sorry.
I just like to make a note, what's her name, Barbara?
Barbara,
She was very instrumental in this project.
yep.
Yep.
And the Lake Association as a whole was very instrumental in selling the project recently in the last,
And I'd also just like to say, this has been an ongoing problem for,
Long time.
long time.
since we were born, if not before.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
So this isn't something that just got dreamed up out of the blue.
there is so much water up there. We can get it moving in the proper locations.
Yep.
Well, I can't wait to get the road paved.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get the road finally done.
And finally, the DPW stuff, the risk tree assessments, that's another, capital item that we had put in this year. So we have a proposal. I'll sign it come July. So we're still working on that. Campground and Redstone kind of go together. We'll start on campground once Redstone's done. Finishing that design and whatnot, but Redstone's back underway. They're putting temporary water main up the road. They're getting there. They're gonna do it in 2 pieces. They're gonna go from Cider Hill to Davis Ledge. And then where to Davis Ledge? They're gonna make it to Davis Ledge.
No, they're going from Center Hill to Davis Ledge,
And then-
crossing over, going back down, and
Then
then
the-
the Redstone place will be like up towards Allison.
Okay, yeah.
They're hoping to charge and test by Friday.
Yeah.
Hopefully start
Mhm.
doing services next week.
Yeah. For the temporaries. And that's gonna allow us to completely shut off the main that's there, and then they can hammer away at their heart's content, literally hammer away.
And, well, obviously red stone, that's abandoned in place, correct?
Mhm.
Same as the other, yep.
Correct, but they'll be, they won't have a chance of breaking.
Well, right, because they're obviously, yeah.
Correct.
People are gonna get sick of listening to that hammer.
PFAS, the results for Q1, which is January, February, March, were below the MCL. April's results were below the MCL as well. We did get money approved at town meeting to begin studying what to do in the future. So we're gonna start working on a proposal for that. So to be perfectly candid with you guys, I've had a lot of conversations with Mike and kind of thinking to myself, we've now had really 4 months, a third, well under that MCL. At what point do I go to the DEP and say, here's what we have. We have the bottled water rebate in our back pocket, but we don't need it right now. You know what I mean? I put a lot of thought into that. Because I've dealt with them so much, I know exactly what they're gonna say, and we're worried about October. Because every time we've had an exceedance, it's been in October. I can't explain to you why, but when it happened in 2021, it was in October. This latest one was in October, and if you look at our results, they're all on the website. October is where it always kind of creeps up, whether it's because of demand or whether it's us coming off of demand. You know what I mean? Like the summer demands and we're coming off of it. If it's drought, all stuff to look at, right? Why it happens, I don't know. It's the only pattern I can come up with. Look at this till we're blue in the face. So if you have that question, I've thought about it. I haven't approached them at this point because I think if we can get through October, we'll approach them and say, I know we're in violation. However, we don't feel the need to be providing this bottled water rebate at this point. Now, keep in mind, the bottled water rebate is a extremely strong suggestion. There's no mass general law that says we have to do it. It looks good on us to do it, but just something to keep in the back of your mind, that I have thought about.
How much is it costing us? Around?
Yeah, $2,000 a quarter.
So far, that's.
This quarter? Oh, that's not bad.
For July.
Okay, it was about 2,000 the first one as well.
They come in like, I don't know, every couple of days.
Right.
So we tested in January, we tested in April, when's the next?
We tested January, February, March, and
Okay,
April, every month.
all
We're
right,
testing. Let me see. I'll try to pull it up.
when are, so we test every month?
Yeah.
Our reports due quarterly or every month?
We test every month. We provide results every month. We are analyzed on a quarterly basis.
Analyzed by DEP?
Correct. Correct.
They take like a quarterly average.
So, in January, remember the MCL is 20. In January, we were 12.21, February, 14.7, March, 8.18, and April, 4.82. So what I will say though is now looking back, all our previous Aprils were pretty good, back to 21. We don't have a lot of data because this hasn't been a thing for them.
Nothing has been tracked,
Uh,
whatever.
like for example, in 2022, April was 3.54. In 2024, it was 2.09. So I mean, it's always been low in April.
So my question would be this. Rather than contacting DEP, what are the ramifications if we didn't contact anybody and just, well, I mean, obviously you have to report, I understand that. But what other ramifications if we did not ask to put back online and we just monitored this through, say, December, just to get the data on paper?
everything's on right now. Nothing's offline because of this.
I understand that,
Okay,
but you said you're worried about October.
right. What the results will be in October, yeah. Just because of the rest of the
No,
October results.
and I understand that.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, October seems to be our little anomaly.
Right.
If we don't ask their permission to, or to reevaluate, whatever, and we just go where we are right now and just monitor
Yeah,
and just see what it does.
that's what we have to sample every month. We're
No,
required.
no, I understand that.
Yeah,
And just keep sampling and.
right. That's what we're gonna do. And then I would feel comfortable approaching them in November.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, and
Don't,
that's
all
my
right.
plan.
so that's what I was
Okay,
trying to.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right, so
Don't approach them till after October.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Oh,
If you
okay.
guys are wondering why I'm not, that's why.
All right, I couldn't,
Sorry.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, no, that's we're on the same page.
all right, okay.
Same page.
I mean, 4.82. 20 is the limit, and we failed by 20.03, I
yeah,
think,
pretty low.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So we're right there.
all right. That's actually very encouraging and good information.
It's helpful for the people in the office who answer the phone calls to explain that.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone gets it,
no,
but it's helpful. There are still people who think that we're hiding these results.
No, we're not
Like,
hiding
they're
nothing.
all right here.
This is the most transparent department in the town.
So, all right, and West Sterling generator, so good news, crane coming tomorrow, generator coming tomorrow, VFD's coming tomorrow, everything's getting unloaded off the truck.
They're in?
I found it at 11 o'clock today.
They're
They
in,
came in early.
they're in.
Uh,
No,
what
they,
about that?
they had said middle of May.
Oh, I thought we were,
Yeah, they told me beginning of April for BFDs and then of March.
oh, my
There was
bad.
some panel they're waiting, another panel.
Oh, maybe
different
that's
panel.
what I'm thinking of.
So finally we can at least get the generator. I just want that generator that's there is a ticking time bomb. It's
Yeah, I didn't know
get it
that.
out. Get it out. Going on to the vehicles, so we were authorized for replacement of truck 5. Luckily, we got a 2024 brand new 3500 single cab 8-foot bed on the lot. Same truck that Mike and I have, and we already have our name on it. So that should get delivered right after July 1st, and we'll upfit it. And, it'll look pretty much just like Paul's truck. Light bar, rack, toolbox.
Boston Bruin sticker,
Say that again?
Boston Bruin sticker,
Jason
Jason Tatum's
That's
face
pretty important.
Tatum's face now.
or his ankle.
His foot. And we're also authorized for the new loader. So after the demos that we did, the guys really liked the Volvo the best. So that they were amazed getting in it, how close it was to our 06 that we have that they really like. So we're working with that salesman, kind of taking our time, making sure we get the right options. He's going to come in end of this week, sit down and kind of go over. We picked a bunch of options, but I want to make sure that we're not picking something that is minuscule that's going to take an extra 6 months to get because, you wanted this light or something like that. You know what I mean? So you know how vehicle ordering is now. You start to get too custom, it gets a little bit wacky. But yeah, no, they really like that piece of equipment. So we're excited about that.
I have a question about
Yes.
the loader. Either I want to know what you decided, or you need to refresh my memory. What's the decision on the old loader?
We're gonna keep it, was what we had talked about when we.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I think
And we made
Exactly
that
what-
decision, correct?
you guys made that decision. And exactly the way you put it was, it's worth more to us here than it would be on
All right.
auction.
Right.
Something like that.
Pardon me for not remembering.
Nope, that's fine.
No, sir.
Your word's stuck in my head.
We discussed it a lot of different ways. It's very, I don't know how you keep track of all this stuff. Thank you.
I remember the conversation.
Yeah, me
I didn't
too.
remember the decision.
Right. Like question, so you're leaving it, you're probably gonna leave it down at the.
No, it'll stay here. I mean, it'll certainly leave us some flexibility.
Yeah.
For down there, 100%. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
it's
if
a
we're-
smart idea.
Right,
Yeah,
But it's
Geoff
gonna-
looks good in it, mowing.
huh?
Said Geoff looks good with it.
Oh, the other one. Winter time is gonna be really nice,
Yeah.
having a loader that can load salt.
Right.
When plows are on, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
There's lots of different, operational things. Sometimes we're working remotely and it would be nice to have a stockpile of stuff.
Right.
But to take a loader away from here, especially when we're mowing, we need emergency response. We need that load. So maybe we can kind of do more of that. So there's a lot of different,
Pardon the redundancy, I couldn't.
You're fine.
No, I think it's good to point it out and have it on record.
So I have projects.
Okay, so superintendent's update?
All right, so the brush dump is open one more Saturday, believe it or not, May 17th, before it closes until the fall. Had a lot of rainy Saturdays. How busy? Been busy?
It's been
Been steady?
considering the weather's been the way it is, there's.
I think people realize that it's gonna have to get out in the rain to get anything done on the weekends, so it's kind of where. So just so you guys know, we've been closely watching a culvert issue on Newell Hill Road in the area of the train tracks and the overhead wires. It appears the culvert under the road's blocked, but the water rose to a level that we can't access it. With the help of DCR, we located an overflow structure that allowed us to drain water out of that area and back into East Lake Washake. So the water actually flows from the power lines to West Lake Washake, the one along Route 12. It technically is cut off from East Lake Washake, the one with all the houses on it, by this control structure. And the reason it is because DCR wanted the water for the Wachusett, right? So they put that structure there that they showed Paul and I the other day. So they were like, oh, absolutely. So we pulled a couple stop logs out of it, talked to the Lake Association, we're draining some water back. We're trying to get it to drain down to a level that we can actually find the pipe, clean it out, and see
It's
what
in the
Knowledge of
swamp.
that?
It's
I
in the
know.
swamp.
I know. We just don't know where.
Do you have any knowledge?
It's
of that?
between, it's in, underneath the power lines.
Yes, so
It-
you know the stretch that
It's towards Jimmy's house.
Okay.
The house that Jimmy built. If you go
Yeah,
up over
he put his
the,
arm in it at one point.
if you go up over the dip
Yeah,
and head across with the power lines, it's not even, I bet you 50 feet.
we could see like, it was so deep, we could see like a little swirl of water. The other issue is West Lake Washake is so high, everything's back.
Cause if you go over to where the concrete barriers are
Mhm.
on Gates Road
Okay, yeah,
and you walk this side of it,
okay,
of the thing, and you walk all the way out in the woods,
yeah,
that's where it goes.
right, yes.
And
It
it's,
comes right in
it
through
goes,
there.
and it canals to the left of the train tracks. And it comes out right there
Yeah,
in that dip.
yeah. But I mean, even our pipes under Gates are flowing,
Mm.
they're all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Full flow, through there. There's just so much water right now. So we're making
There's so much
ground on it.
vegetation over there too. I
Yeah.
mean, you got Mountain Laurel, you got everything that to know to disturb,
Right.
but that's what's plugging everything up and
Right.
underneath the power line right there.
The good news is that, and I told all the residents this, when we went out there, there's this kind of a dam, and the water was going right around it. So the water level, I don't believe would ever get higher than it was because it was draining right out, so I don't ever see a situation where it goes over that shared driveway that's to the right. If you come
No.
over the train track or it comes over the road, it's close, but I don't think it will ever get to that point. So I felt much better about that. I was getting ready to be like, we gotta close Newell Hill. So we're working on it. I just wanted to put that on your radar, if you get questions on it. Talked to a bunch of the residents down there. They've been great. So,
Yeah,
it's there somewhere. We have an idea of where it is. We just gotta get.
just
it.
years and years
Right.
and years of brush and Mountain Laurel
And I
and
hate to say it, but over the years, we've gone down to try to clean it and maybe it might be not totally wide open. It
Right,
could be,
round.
so.
That metal pipe bends over.
yeah, there's where it crosses to go that long driveway that goes down
Yeah,
and splits those 3 houses or 4 houses on the right. It just carries it down there and it goes right into the cove.
In the North Cove.
Yeah, on the cove where old tools is in the cove there.
We had no idea of that concrete spillway until they
Right.
opened it.
right. It was awesome. It made us feel better. We pulled those Thursday afternoon and then it rained Thursday night. So, that worked out good. I'm glad we pulled them when we did.
Good information.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it was,
they were super helpful.
yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely worked.
Yeah.
Mark 'em.
Sweeping will wrap up after Memorial Day. We just have a few small areas left to complete. We were on a roll and then it rained constantly. Delayed progress over the last couple of weeks. We won't be doing townwide sweeping these next 2 weeks because of the work leading up to Memorial Day. But we'll finish that up the week after. We had another successful DPW open house on Saturday, May 3rd. I'd like to thank all the companies who attended with the equipment and the residents who attended it as well. Next year, we'll attempt to schedule it so it does not conflict with the Little League Parade. Unfortunately, with how late President's Day was. It pushed the Little League parade, which usually that would have been the week before, so that might have taken back some of our attendance, but, good event. I had fun. I always enjoy it.
That was a lot of fun.
So thank you. Thank you, Dean, for coming down. Appreciate that. And, it's good. We've secured all of our seasonal labor for the summer season. We had 6 applicants, including 2 returning applicants, for 4 spots. So we're happy about that. We're gonna, as of tomorrow, we'll have 2. Monday, we'll have 3. And 1 kid who was supposed to start tomorrow got sick. So maybe he'll start later in the week or early next week. In an effort to have less cash here at the DPW, we're going to be phasing out the ability to make change for exact amount cash water payments that are made in person at the DPW. This will be posted on the July bill that goes out, and we hope to have it phased out by October, the October bill. If people pay with non-exact change, that money just goes onto their account as a credit on their next bill. This will not affect that many people. It'll only a handful of folks that are looking for pennies back, but we shouldn't be managing a cash drawer here at the DPW. We're not set up for it. I don't think it's really taxing on these girls to, if they have 2 people at the window, they got to go back into this other area to make change. It's just not a good setup. So there really is no reason to do it. Most of the time people are paying a $78 bill with $80. That $2 goes onto their next account. They can pay online, they can pay by check, they can pay with exact change. But we're gonna try to phase out making change. Pay with, no. Maybe if they're unscratched, it could be a good thing. Well, we're gonna start.
Bless you, sir.
We're gonna start working on that. We've begun our spring flushing. Flushing will continue until water demand increases to a higher level. We're gonna keep cruising through it. How many days in so far? 4 or 5 days in. So we're getting around. There's been some distilled water out there we're working on. So we paved another 300 feet of road in Oak Hill as part of our annual cemetery paving work. This work started last year at the intersection. We went straight from that intersection all the way down to the next one, cleared out on either side, which was really good. It's gonna really clean that area up. Heard from some people already who, said it looks really nice, so.
And now they parked on it.
Who?
I said they parked there so people can't get by.
Oh. Did
Terrible.
you try to go in there today?
Yeah, I had to go see my mother.
They could, oh, right, nice. And some flowers,
Yeah,
make sure Devin's
and we
careful.
took them already.
For the next 2 weeks, as usual, we'll be focusing our efforts on preparation for Memorial Day at the cemeteries and along that parade route. So it's an all hands on deck deal. We'll be doing that.
Putting a new tree out.
And finally, I just want to thank the select board for declaring May 18th through May 24th as National Public Works Week. Select board member David Smith read the proclamation at their May 7th meeting, similar to the one that they read last year. So that's a testament to these guys and how much work they put in and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's why I'm not happy about that.
that's all I have.
I want to get out of them.
Okay, future agenda items.
I just want to call Miriam is what I'd like to talk about the next meeting.
Right.
You're okay with that?
You guys have anything?
Not that I want to talk about.
Paul?
No, we're just, like I said, prepping for Memorial Day. Hopefully the weather stays decent so we can get what we need to get done.
It's been tough with the rain. I feel like we're still catching up with the mowing from the last really 2 weeks of weather that we've had,
It's been crazy.
It's good. We need the rain. I'll say it. Yeah, it's cliche, but we didn't need that much.
Yeah, that quickly, yes. Well, you're,
Cleaned out the culvert pipe.
I just wanted to bring up in public meeting that I've been watching a lot of neighboring towns and our roads we're all suffering, of course, from all of this overflow. And I think you guys are doing a really good job. I just wanted to point that out, that our roads are, even the ones that are big numbers, low numbers, we're in better shape than a lot of towns. And, I'm so grateful.
Right.
I'm so grateful for you guys. I just wanted to add that.
I'll tell you a quick story. These guys were out today, encountered a tough gentleman, who called the office to explain to me how much worse our roads have gotten in the last 5 years. I was able to very quickly pull out my papers and say, oh, just, let me read you these scores over the last 5 years. And, you know, independently, everything has been graded. And starting in 2021, it was 68, so then 71, 72, 74. So it was really nice to be able to,
Yep.
to have that conversation with someone and, you know, came in really hot and left as like, I really appreciate all your answers, you know, that
Mhm.
I felt like you were being honest with me. Thank you very much. You know, so having that kind of information, that's just one, I know it's kind of a side topic, but I appreciated being able to explain that.
I was just looking at how much debris there was on the roads in our town versus, say, Leominster. Oh my God, those poor people. All right. Well, so that's it.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys got anything?
Words from Paul, Mike, you got anything?
I got nothing, we're just chugging away, a lot of projects going on, but only so much time to do it, so
Yep, 10-4.
we're moving out there.
It's true.
Okay, so we got nothing else. We're gonna adjourn. It's 8:14.